What if most of how you see the world is not reality, but a carefully constructed illusion created by your own brain? We are all confident in our ability to think logically and make rational decisions. But the truth is that our brains are constantly deceiving us through what are called cognitive distortions. These systematic thinking errors affect every decision we make, from grocery shopping to choosing a life partner, and often we don't even realize it. They are like hidden programs that stealthily run our lives. In this video, we will take a fascinating journey into the world of cognitive psychology, drawing on the groundbreaking work of Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize winner and one of the most influential psychologists of our time. We'll unlock the mysteries of how our minds work, explore the most common cognitive distortions, and teach you techniques to help you make more rational and informed decisions. Are you ready to step out of the matrix and see the world as it really is? Imagine that there are two pilots constantly functioning in your head, each controlling your mind in a different way, creating a unique dynamic for making decisions and reacting to the world around you. The first pilot, named System 1, represents the experienced yet impulsive automated pilot. He is able to react quickly to different situations based on instincts and habits that have been formed throughout his life. System 1 manages everyday tasks, such as driving a car along a familiar route when you don't have to consciously think about every turn, or recognizing a friend's face in a crowd when your attention automatically focuses on a familiar image. This pilot doesn't expend much energy and acts with astonishing speed, which allows him to handle routine tasks without significant effort. However, its approach has its drawbacks. It is prone to error, especially in complex or non-routine situations where deeper analysis and deliberation are required. It is System 1 that is responsible for most of our intuitive reactions and emotional impulses, which can be both helpful and deceptive. It is important to realize that this automated process often operates on autopilot, making it both effective in familiar circumstances and vulnerable to various cognitive distortions in more complex circumstances. The second pilot, System 2, is an experienced but slow and judicious analyst who comes into play when faced with complex tasks that require considerable concentration and logical thinking. This pilot does not rush to make decisions. Instead, he or she carefully analyzes the situation, considers various options, and evaluates the consequences of each. System 2 is responsible for important processes such as planning, reasoning, and critically evaluating information. It is capable of delving deep into details, identifying patterns, and drawing conclusions based on facts and logic. However, it is worth noting that System 2 requires much more energy and effort to operate than its more impulsive predecessor. That is why we try to use it as little as possible, relying on the automated reactions of System 1 in everyday life. Nevertheless, it is System 2 that has the potential to help us avoid the pitfalls of cognitive distortion that can arise when making quick and intuitive decisions. To take advantage of this potential, we need to learn how to activate and use System 2 correctly, recognizing the importance of deep analysis and a critical approach to information. This requires us not only to recognize the need to incorporate a slower and more deliberative thought process, but also to be willing to spend time and effort on tasks that may seem complex or confusing. Thus, the interplay between the two systems, System 1 and System 2, creates a unique dynamic in our thinking and decision-making, where each plays its own important role in our lives. Imagine that you are at a sale where you are surrounded by many attractive products and tempting offers. Suddenly, your eyes stop on a jacket that immediately catches your eye. It has the old price of $200 brightly highlighted, which has been crossed out, and next to it is the new price of $100. At first glance, it looks like a great deal. You feel like you raise saving as much as $100, and your emotional state rises at the thought of a bargain. In that moment, you make the decision to buy the jacket without thinking about what's really going on. However, it's worth asking yourself the question, is this jacket really worth its new $100? What if the real cost of this jacket is only $80? In that case, you've fallen victim to the anchoring effect, one of the most common cognitive distortions that affects our behavior and decision-making. The anchoring effect is that we tend to rely on the first number we receive, which becomes an anchor for us when evaluating other numbers. This anchor can have a significant impact on our subsequent judgments and perceptions of the value of a product, even if it is completely random or irrelevant. So, in this situation, the original 200 price played a role in shaping your opinion of the value of the jacket, causing you to believe that the new 100 price is a bargain. Your mind automatically compares the new price to the anchor and concludes that you are making a successful purchase without realizing that the actual cost of the item may be much lower. This highlights the importance of being aware of cognitive distortions in our daily behavior and decision-making, as they can lead to erroneous conclusions and unnecessary spending. The pegging effect is often used in marketing, sales, and negotiation. Sellers may deliberately inflate the initial price to create the illusion of a favorable discount. Politicians may use anchor figures in their statements to sway public opinion. To avoid this effect, always try to analyze information critically. Don't rely on first impressions, and gather more data before making a decision. We all like to feel right. It brings us satisfaction and confidence in our own judgments and decisions. The desire to be right is a natural human instinct that can strengthen our self-esteem and create a sense of control over the world around us. However, this desire for validation can play tricks on us, encouraging us to seek out information that confirms our beliefs and ignore anything that contradicts them. This cognitive distortion is called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias causes us to create information bubbles around us in which we hear only what we want to hear and see only what we want to see. As a result of this process, we may overlook important facts and opinions that could expand our understanding of a topic or situation. We begin to see the world through the lens of our preconceived notions, which can distort reality and make it more difficult to make informed decisions. This tendency can also increase conflict and disagreement as we become less open to alternative viewpoints and more inclined to aggressively defend our positions. Ultimately, confirmation bias can limit our personal growth and development because we do not allow ourselves to question our beliefs and open ourselves to new ideas that might be useful to our understanding of the world. In politics, the propensity for confirmation leads to a polarization of society, where people become increasingly alienated from each other, listening only to sources that confirm their views. In social media, algorithms amplify this effect by showing us only information that aligns with our interests. To combat confirmation bias, consciously seek information from a variety of sources, be critical of your beliefs, and be willing to change your perspective when exposed to new facts. Imagine that you have just read in the news about a terrible airplane crash that shocked the public and caused a wide resonance. After that, you begin to get the feeling that it has become very dangerous to fly by plane, although in fact air travel is considered one of the safest modes of transportation, and statistics confirm this. This phenomenon can be explained by the effect of the availability heuristic, a cognitive distortion that causes us to overestimate the probability of events that come readily to our minds. In this case, a recent disaster covered in the news imprinted itself on your mind, and you began to associate flying with risk and danger. More often than not, such distortions occur because events that we perceive as meaningful or emotionally charged become more prominent in our minds. This may be due to the fact that such events have recently occurred, received extensive media coverage, or triggered strong emotions such as fear or anxiety. Thus, our perception of reality and assessment of risks and probabilities may be distorted not by objective data, but by subjective impressions and memorable examples. As a result of this cognitive distortion, we may begin to avoid or feel anxious about flying, even though the actual risks are much lower than in other aspects of our lives. The accessibility heuristic shows how the human brain processes information and how emotional reactions can influence our judgments and behaviors. emphasizing the importance of critical thinking and an informed approach to evaluating information. Availability heuristics can lead to irrational fears and rash decisions. To avoid this effect, try to rely on statistics and objective facts rather than your emotions and memories. Remember that what comes easily to your mind is not always the truth. Imagine a situation where you are about to undergo a complex operation and your doctor tells you that you have a 90% chance of survival. In such a situation, you would probably be inclined to agree to the surgery, feeling confident and hopeful. However, if the doctor instead tells you that you have a 10% chance of dying during the surgery, you are likely to delay your decision and begin to feel fear and doubt. This phenomenon illustrates the framing effect, a cognitive distortion that demonstrates how the way information is presented can significantly influence our perception and decision-making. In advertising, the framing effect is used constantly and with great effectiveness. For example, products are often advertised as containing 90 meat, which creates a positive impression of the quality of the product, while a similar message that a product contains 10 fat may evoke negative associations and reduce consumer interest. Politicians also actively use this technique, presenting the same reforms in different lights. They can talk about increasing opportunities for citizens or emphasize reducing social benefits depending on what audience they want to attract and what opinion they want to form. To avoid the framing effect affecting your decisions and perception of information, it is important to try to always analyze information from different perspectives. Ask yourself questions about how the information could be presented and consider alternative formulations. This will help you avoid being manipulated and make better decisions based on objective facts rather than on emotional perceptions caused by a particular way of presenting information. Thus, being aware of the framing effect and its influence on our behavior can be an important step toward a more informed and rational approach to decision-making in various areas of life. Imagine a situation where you have shares in a company that you purchased for 1-0. At some point, you are horrified to realize that their current value has dropped to 500. This realization of loss triggers strong negative emotions in you, and it becomes difficult for you to make the decision to sell these shares, even though you realize that they will likely continue to fall in value. This example illustrates the loss aversion effect, a cognitive distortion that causes us to experience much more intense negative emotions from losing something than positive emotions from gaining something of equal value. Research shows that the psychological damage of losing 100 can be perceived as equivalent to winning 200. Thus, because of this effect, people often make irrational decisions to avoid losses, even if this ultimately leads to even bigger problems. For example, they may continue to hold on to a losing stock in the hope that the price will rise again, ignoring more sensible options such as selling the stock and investing the remaining funds in more promising assets. This behavior can lead to increased losses and missed opportunities for gains in other investments. It is important to recognize the impact of the loss aversion effect on our behavior and make better decisions based on facts and logic rather than emotional reactions. Recognizing this distortion can help us better manage our investments and avoid the pitfalls associated with irrational behavior. Loss aversion can prevent us from making rational decisions and moving forward. To combat this effect, try to evaluate situations objectively. Don't let emotions take over, and remember that loss is an inevitable part of life. The good news is that we can certainly learn to recognize and overcome the cognitive distortions that often influence our decisions and behaviors. This process requires some effort and time, but it is doable. To begin with, you need to exercise your brain by developing mindfulness and critical thinking. This can be the foundation for a more balanced and intelligent approach to decision-making. Start small. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings in everyday life, noticing moments when you use simplistic thinking patterns or are influenced by emotional reactions. It is important to develop the habit of analyzing your thoughts and becoming aware of how they may be distorted. Practicing meditation can be a great tool for improving concentration and mindfulness. Regular meditation practice helps to calm the mind and also develops the ability to observe your thoughts without judgment, which helps you to better understand your own reactions. In addition, solving logic problems and puzzles is an effective way to exercise one's system too, the part of our thinking that is responsible for analytical and critical processes. It not only develops mental skills, but also helps us develop a more balanced approach to problem solving. Gradually, step by step, you can improve your skills in recognizing cognitive distortions and learn to make more informed decisions based on facts and logic rather than emotional impulses. Thus, being aware of these aspects can significantly improve your quality of life and help you avoid the pitfalls associated with irrational behavior. In order to make smarter decisions, especially in situations where significant financial costs or important life choices are at stake, it is helpful to develop clear algorithms and checklists to help structure your decision-making process. For example, before buying an expensive item, it is worth making a detailed list of its pros and cons, in which you can evaluate all aspects related to the purchase. It is also important not to forget about your financial capabilities. Assess how much this purchase fits into your budget, and think about how much you really need this thing at the moment. This will help you avoid unplanned spending and allow you to be more conscious about your spending. In addition, using tables to compare alternatives can be a great tool for visualizing all the available options. By writing down the different options and their characteristics, you will be able to see more clearly what each one offers, as well as assess the risks and benefits associated with each choice. Such algorithms and structured approaches will help you engage your system too, the part of thinking that is responsible for analytical and critical processes. This, in turn, will avoid impulsive decisions that are often driven by emotion and can be distorted by cognitive distortions. A systematic approach to decision-making will not only increase your confidence in your choices, but will also make the process more informed and informed, ultimately leading to better outcomes in your life. Cognitive distortions are an inevitable part of our human nature, but by recognizing their influence and training our brains, we can live more aware and happier lives. Learn to recognize mental traps, activate your system too, and you'll be able to make more rational decisions, build more harmonious relationships, and achieve greater success. Are you ready to step out of the matrix and see the world as it really is? Thanks for watching. If this video was helpful, give it a like, share it with your friends, and write in the comments what cognitive distortion most often affects your life. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new psychology videos. And remember, think critically, live consciously,